there's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
It's too stressful, and frankly, I do not have the nerve.
Saturday Night Live was supposed to be just another chaotic, comedy-packed episode.
Minecraft in the United States in one weekend made more money than Snow White has made globally after 3 weekends.
Jack Black hosting, big laughs, maybe a few musical moments. But what no one expected was a full-on scorched earth roast of Rachel Zegler and Disney's Snow White mess.
Rachel Zegler then inexplicably continued to post herself in an empty theater for her own movie. She's literally the only person there. Meanwhile, the experience at Minecraft goes something like this.
Live, unfiltered, and so brutally on point that the audience didn't know whether to laugh or gasp. During his monologue, Jack was already in his usual wild man mode, pacing the stage, doing his rock star scream, getting the crowd hyped. Then he shifted into Hollywood trends territory, and that's when the claws came out.
The future of Hollywood is being battled out right now in theaters as 2 live-action remakes from the biggest studios in Hollywood go head-to-head.
With a smirk, he launched into a line that's now instantly iconic. You know what really scares me in 2025? Disney princesses who hate being Disney princesses. The audience lost it. The shade, blinding. And he wasn't done. He followed it up with, I watched Snow White, or whatever that reboot was supposed to be. Felt more like a TED Talk about dating than a fairy tale. I didn't know whether to cheer or call my therapist. Babe, he dragged her. And the crowd ate it up.
Rachel Zegler then inexplicably continued to post herself in an empty theater for her own movie. She's literally the only person there. And do you not understand how humiliating this is?
Jack never said Rachel Zegler by name. But girl, let's not play. Everyone knew exactly who he was talking about. From the princesses who hate being princesses jab to the TED Talk punchline, it was crystal clear. This was about the woman who turned a Disney legacy into a lecture, and it hit because it wasn't just comedy, it was truth.
In contrast to Snow White, I was really expecting the Minecraft movie to bury Snow White. I was expecting it to bury it, and it has.
For months, Rachel's press tour had been chaos. She mocked the original Snow White, shaded the prince, called the romance weird, and basically distanced herself from the character she was hired to play. Now Jack Black, of all people, finally said what fans have been screaming in comment sections for months, but saying it on SNL with the world watching, and in that classic Jack Black way, funny, loud, totally unbothered, that made it stick.
Meanwhile, the experience at Minecraft goes something like this.
Immediately after the episode aired, the internet detonated. Clips from the monologue were everywhere within minutes. TikTok was flooded with edits of Jack's roast paired with Snow White red carpet footage. Twitter was trending with Jack Black. Said what we were all thinking, Rachel Zegler just got cooked on national TV. When a comedian says it, it's a joke. But it still stings, and the comment sections, totally divided. Half the crowd was cheering Jack on, calling it justice for Disney fans who felt mocked by the reboot. The other half was dragging him, saying it was mean-spirited and kicking someone while they're already down. But whether you loved it or hated it, one thing is for sure, nobody was expecting it. It wasn't promo, it wasn't rehearsed for social media safety, it was real, raw, and probably one of the most savage moments SNL has aired in years.
And the cops had to escort the rowdy teenagers out. The Minecraft movie is doing something magical. It's creating a live audience reaction event.
While Rachel hasn't publicly responded yet, sources close to her reportedly said she was shocked and blindsided by the roast. One entertainment insider told gossip blogs that her PR team was fuming and scrambling to prevent another emotional spiral like after the Gal Gadot fallout. Yikes. And remember, Rachel's been quiet lately. No major posts, no lives, no interviews since Snow White was quietly removed from theaters. She's clearly in reputation recovery mode. But now, that recovery just took a hit. Because when Jack Black is dragging you on SNL, it's not just bad press, it's cultural commentary. This wasn't just a joke. This was a comedian signaling that your movie isn't just a flop, it's a punchline.
Our rights are on the line, folks.
The right to buy Cosby sweaters?
Let's be real. Rachel had been lying low. After the Snow White fiasco, the press tour backlash, the TikTok memes, the interviews that aged like sour milk, her team had clearly been doing damage control. No new drama, no public meltdowns, no statements, just silence. And that was actually working until Jack Black stepped onto the SNL stage and dropped a cultural nuke. The timing couldn't have been worse. Behind the scenes, insiders say Rachel's camp had been trying to line up a soft reset, a prestige streaming role, a non-Disney film, and a carefully rebranded rollout for later this year. But now, that plan just got derailed. Because when someone as universally liked and Hollywood safe as Jack Black takes a shot at you, and the crowd laughs, it tells studios exactly what they've been whispering for months. Rachel Zegler's name still brings tension, not tickets. No one wants to attach a lead to a project when the internet hasn't forgiven her yet. And after this roast, they were reminded why.
Warner Brothers' Minecraft movie versus Disney's Snow White, which in theory should be quite a battle, but it's not even a fair fight.
Here's why this moment matters more than a punchline. Jack Black doesn't do controversy. He's goofy, lovable. The guy who plays guitar in kid movies and shouts skadoosh in Kung Fu Panda. He's not edgy, he's not divisive, which makes what he said way more powerful. Because when he makes a joke about Rachel Zegler being a Disney princess who hates being a princess, that's not just comedy, that's Hollywood calling her out without having to say it directly. It's a message from the industry, from producers, writers, casting directors, and executives, that the way Rachel handled Snow White didn't just hurt the brand, it embarrassed it. Jack's roast was a way for everyone to finally acknowledge out loud what they've been forced to pretend wasn't happening. It was bold, but it wasn't reckless. It was timed, strategic, intentional. And judging by the studio's silence since, it struck exactly where it was meant to.
You know what's interesting about all this is that the only person waiting in line to see Snow White was Rachel Zegler.
While Jack was getting standing ovations from SNL fans, Disney's halls were reportedly dead silent. Not a peep from the mouse. No press statements, no damage control, no supportive tweets about their beloved Snow White star, nothing. And that silence is louder than any joke. According to sources from inside the Disney PR machine, the studio was caught off guard. They didn't know the roast was coming. And the fact that it aired live and was clipped, reposted, memed, and dissected before midnight had execs worried about reigniting a backlash they've been trying to bury since January.
It got destroyed at the box office. Here's the box office numbers. The Minecraft movie made $60 million on Saturday. Snow White made $2 million.
Why no response? Simple. They know better than to defend something the public has already moved on from. Trying to protect Rachel now would just reopen the wound and remind people that Snow White is still a cultural punchline. And Disney is trying desperately to forget that movie ever existed. They've already shelved promo plans, pulled merch from stores, and shifted internal focus to the next reboot cycle. So when Jack made that joke, they winced. But they didn't fight back because in the studio's mind, he wasn't wrong.
Whereas the Snow White model is the message ad infinitum, shoved directly up your ass, and most importantly, in the most insufferable possible way, like screamed at you.
You know who wasn't mentioned in Jack Black's roast but still ended up trending anyway? Gal Gadot. The internet never forgets, and the second the clip went viral, people brought her right back into the conversation, and not in a bad way. Fans flooded Twitter with comments like, "Gal knew the assignment, keep it cute, collect the check, and don't get involved." This roast wouldn't have landed if Rachel wasn't so busy shading the movie Gal just quietly supported. Gal, unfazed, untouched, unbothered. Queen energy, and they're not wrong. While Rachel got dragged on stage, Gal's staying glamorous, silent, and completely unaffected. It's a reminder of just how different their PR approaches were, and how one kept her legacy, while the other became the punchline.
And so let's see how they fared against each other. The Minecraft movie breaks box office record with $300 million global opening, while woke Snow White slips again.
Let's talk about it. Rachel Zegler was already fighting for a second chance. After the Snow White backlash, the box office flop, the fan rebellion, and that emotional IG Live meltdown, her team had been trying to rebuild from scratch. A low-key image rebrand, whisper campaigns about misunderstood intentions, carefully curated red carpet moments, the usual PR rehab. But Jack Black's roast just blew a hole through all of it. Because here's the thing, babe. She wasn't even on the show. She didn't do anything new, and she still got dragged. That means her reputation is no longer tied to a single incident. It's become cultural shorthand. People don't just dislike Snow White, they bring up Rachel when they're talking about how not to market a movie. When your name becomes the punchline, that's not just bad press. That's career damage. And it's the kind of damage that doesn't go away with an apology video or a cute photo shoot. Studios remember, casting directors remember, brands definitely remember. And now, even people outside the film world, the comedians, the late-night hosts, the talk show panels, are jumping in. She's no longer just an actress caught in controversy, she's become the example.
In theory, Snow White should as well. Snow White's the movie that made Disney, the studio. They should have been more cautious and careful with their own IP.
Here's what you won't see in the headlines, the conversations happening behind closed doors. In the days after Jack Black's SNL roast, multiple industry insiders have confirmed that executives are quietly reevaluating future roles tied to Rachel. Projects she was being considered for are now on pause. One indie film reportedly removed her name from internal casting boards altogether, citing audience temperature. It's not about talent, it's not about likability, it's about risk. Studios are in their ultra-cautious era. They don't want to spend millions on someone who might bring the wrong kind of attention. And after this roast, Rachel's name is once again trending for the wrong reason. Even worse, it's trending organically. Not from a slip-up, not from an interview, but from someone else dragging her without provocation. That means the stigma is alive, and the industry sees that.
Encouraging to see a movie that decided to do the opposite of Snow White, which is, according to all available reviews, including from the people that I trust the very most on this platform.
Let's zoom out. This wasn't just a roast about Rachel, it was about everything Disney's been doing wrong for the past decade. And now the comedy world is finally calling it out. Jack Black's joke about a fairy tale turning into a TED Talk, that hit because it was true. Fans are tired of being lectured, rebranded, or guilt-tripped into liking reboots that feel more like PowerPoints than movies. The Snow White reboot didn't fail because the story was old. It failed because Disney stripped it of its charm, replaced joy with messaging, and put the entire burden on an actress who clearly didn't believe in the film. And now, Tangled is canceled, Frozen is under review. The entire live-action pipeline is being restructured. Studios are waking up to the fact that this modernize or die approach is actually killing the magic. People don't want princesses who hate being princesses. They want stories that mean something, with characters who grow without shaming the stories that came before them. Jack Black just said what the rest of Hollywood was too scared to say. The audience is smarter than you think. And they're done being spoon-fed reboots that don't respect the legacy.
It is non-political. The Minecraft movie does not try to beat you and box you about the ears with the message.
Here's the most important shift that Jack's roast revealed. The fans are steering the narrative now. It used to be that the studios decided how we should feel about a movie, what we should love, what was empowering. But the Snow White saga flipped that script. Now, it's the audience that decides. Fans made the Rachel backlash trend. Fans made Tangled's cancellation a talking point. Fans turned a single roast into a cultural reset. And the studios, they're finally realizing they can't outmarket a movement. Rachel's downfall, fair or not, became a symbol of the disconnect between creators and consumers. She said what she felt, and the audience responded, loudly. And when someone like Jack Black steps in and echoes that frustration, that's not bullying, that's validation. It's the culture talking back.
It is just silly fun for kids, which is what a kids' movie should be.
Let's get brutally real. Rachel Zegler is now in what Hollywood calls the brand damage zone. Not oops, she made a mistake territory, not need some time to grow. No, we're talking punchline status, meme-level reputation, damage, the kind where every move she makes from here on out will be scrutinized through the lens of, is she still that girl who turned Snow White into a TED Talk and got roasted for it live on SNL? Can she come back from that? Sure, anything is possible in Hollywood, but babe, not without a full-on character arc. Not without swallowing the pride, owning the backlash, and giving the public something genuine. Not another sarcastic tweet. Not a cute PR apology written by a team. We're talking real humility, an earned reintroduction, and a role that reminds everyone why she was given the spotlight in the first place. Because right now, the narrative has eaten her alive. And unless she flips the script herself, she's going to keep being remembered as the face of Disney's most embarrassing reboot failure.
And everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Let's not let the mouse off the hook either. Disney created this disaster. They handed Rachel a sinking script, propped it up with outdated messaging dressed as empowerment, and expected audiences to show up out of loyalty. Then when it flopped, they ghosted. They cut Tangled. They shifted blame without ever saying a word, but Jack Black's roast just exposed what everyone inside already knows. The fairy tale formula is broken, and Disney has no idea how to fix it. For years, they treated legacy IP like it was invincible. All they had to do was slap on live-action lighting, update the dialogue with some buzzwords, and call it modern. But Snow White was the red flag they could no longer ignore, and Jack Black lit it on fire in front of a live audience. And now, no one's buying the illusion anymore. The studio that once created dreams is now scrambling to do damage control over jokes. If Disney wants to save itself, it needs to stop rewriting the past and start respecting it.
Disney's Snow White, faithfully adapted, would have made $1 billion. Everyone knows this.
Let's step back. This moment, Jack Black's roast, the audience's roar, the viral aftermath, wasn't just a joke. It was a reset. It was culture taking the mic back from corporate PR. It was the public saying, "We're done with being told what to love." And honestly, it was long overdue. Because for too long, audiences have been fed media that's afraid of itself. Reboots that apologize for the originals, leads who mock the stories they're supposed to embody, studios chasing trends instead of telling truths. And then Snow White came out, and the backlash said everything that execs refused to admit. Jack Black just gave that backlash a punchline, and in doing so, he gave the audience permission to laugh back. Not because it was petty, but because it was earned. This wasn't bullying. It was the culture course correcting. It was Saturday night. Comedy doing what it was made to do. Roast the elite when no one else will.
So the film received a low score on Rotten Tomatoes, but 87% fan approval. The rankings were very similar to Snow White, which received a 40% critic score, 73% audience ranking. Yeah, right.
Now that this moment's gone viral, everyone in the industry is listening, even the ones pretending not to. Casting directors, studio heads, publicists, they've all seen the clip. They've all read the takes. And they know this wasn't just about Rachel. It was about how far the reboot bubble has drifted from reality. There's already talk about slowing the pace of legacy remakes. Several streaming originals have reportedly been pushed back or shelved, and casting conversations totally shifting. Now, it's not about who's trending. It's about who won't implode in the public eye. Because one wrong move, one cocky quote, one SNL joke, and suddenly your tentpole movie becomes a Twitter thread. That's the power the audience has now. And babe, they're using it.
Rachel Zegler, who was cast in the title role, but some diehard fans were upset that Zegler, who identifies as Colombian American, was cast to portray the Disney princess.
So here we are. Rachel Zegler, once Disney's golden girl, just got flame-grilled by Jack Black on national TV. Snow White, once the crown jewel of the reboot empire, has been buried without a funeral. And Disney, still pretending like the castle, isn't burning behind them. But the truth is clear. The audience isn't asleep anymore. The fairy tales aren't untouchable. And if you're going to mess with a legacy that means something to people, you better do it with love, or don't do it at all. This wasn't just a roast, it was a reckoning. So what do you think, babe? Was Jack Black out of line, or was he just saying what everyone was thinking? Can Rachel Zegler still pull off a comeback, or has the cultural tide finally turned on the reboot era for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. All the hot takes, messy opinions, and finally someone said it energy. And if you live for bold breakdowns, no fluff storytelling, and the kind of drama Disney wishes we'd ignore, like this video, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you're always the first to know when the next fairy tale explodes. Because this ain't 1937 anymore. The mirror cracked. The audience woke up, and this time, the princess got roasted.